We'll get him there. I'll get him there.
You're fine.
Okay, you guys, guess what? Second to last class. Second to last class. You're almost there. The numbers are a little rough. I'm hoping we show a few more people up here in a minute. So the numbers are keeping. So you guys finish strong. Make sure that you're here and make sure you're finishing the week and getting all of the last parts of this in your repertoire. You're almost done. Don't give up now. How are we doing? I'm going to check. I'm going to pull up our leaderboard here. How are things going? I want to hear some stories about appointments. Appointments. Let's talk about appointments. How is that going and what are our struggles? Because now we should be at the point we should be starting to have appointments. Let's talk about it. Somebody tell me wins, losses, what's going on?
I have an appointment tomorrow.
So Justin, have you had an appointment so far?
Yeah.
How's it going?
I sold the house. It's kind of rough. This week sucks pretty bad because I'm sick and my wife has had her stuff going on. But I have an appointment tomorrow to show Chris's apartment, and then after that, I mean, I've been in a idle mode, so it's like I said, it's been kind of rough. But
so when you're on the appointment, Justin, when you've gone on an appointment, how has that gone? What do you feel like? What were the things that went well, and what were the things that you struggled with when you're actually on the appointment?
Okay, well, at first with this newer person, you know, I wasn't very comfortable with her at all. Mm-hmm. And she's super nice and, you know, and gracious and putting up with me and stuff. So that's good. It went fine. You know, I stumbled around. Mm-hmm. A little bit at first, just trying to answer her questions without sounding like a fool. But I did it. And she signed an agreement to have me be her agent to find her a place. So that's good.
Excellent. Did you go in prepared? Did you have your presentation ready to go? And did you feel comfortable in your presentation?
I did. I've been stalking one of my neighbors. It sounds bad, but I took them a presentation with this Jessica gal. No, I did not do that. The one across the street, I did a market analysis on the house, and I did I'm just trying to get them to list it. They're cleaning it out. Their parents have moved into a trailer in Chubbuck. Mm-hmm. And it's out here at Indian Hills, so it's, you know, apparently everybody wants to be out here. But, you know, I've been over there several times and met the kids, you know. His name is Raymond, Garth and Nikki. Mm-hmm. And I've just been out there, you know, selling myself so I can get that house.
So, Justin, would you say on that appointment, you've had both those, did you feel more confident when you went in prepared with a presentation than when you went in to wing it?
Oh, yeah.
Is anybody else having those feelings? Is anyone else saying, have you gone in when you winged it, and have you gone in with a presentation? What did you guys think? How did that go? Don't wing it? Anybody else?
When you're even if you're halfway prepared, it beats not being prepared at all.
So when you guys prepared, what did you do? What did you do to prepare?
It's 10 extra minutes. Mm-hmm. I'm just running it through my head, with a paper. But it's not like it's 2 hours. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Stephen, what about you? What prep did you do?
Doing a little bit beyond the CMA, doing a little bit of research into the likely price ranges. So, you know, you can talk intelligibly about, you know, what the inventory is like in these ranges, and you may want to do this, but it's really moving better in a higher price range or whatever. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So you got familiar with knowing the inventory around that house and what are the prices. Excellent. What else did you guys do? What else did you do for prep? Are any of you guys using the listing presentation from E-Edge?
Yes.
Anybody else? I would encourage you to do that, because I will tell you this. Experienced agents going behind you are coming in with polished presentations. And you will lose a listing because you'll look less polished. So have a presentation. Have something in there. Go into the e-edge. I think I sent out to you guys the Scott Leroy video that shows you how to go in and get the buyer's presentation and the listing presentation, and you can customize it. Go in there and make it your own. But I will tell you, you will look far more professional and less new with a presentation in hand. And you don't have to build one.
Could you show us where to see the sessions on these?
Oh.
In the KW Connect?
Yeah.
I was looking for number 6.
Our sessions?
Yes.
They're in YouTube.
The KRWEI training?
KWREI training, and it's Ignite 2017. It's a closed, it's not a searchable. I sent you a link a while back for it. So if you needed the link again, just email me.
Yes.
Because I don't have it just open for anybody to search and find.
I will look
Yep.
for it.
Yep. But it's Ignite 2017. If you guys need the recorded sessions, just send me an email and I'll send the link to you.
For the scripts, we can email you and
No, that if you want to watch these sessions again.
Okay.
But if you want to look for the scripts, if you want to look for the presentations, they're in e-edge. I sent you an email last week, and it's just Scott Leroy's video on how to go in and customize them. But they're in e-edge in the My Marketing section. I'm going to show you guys really quick. Let's go like this. Because this is the next part. I'm going to share screen. Yes.
If there's a way to customize, is there a way to customize all the pages
Yeah.
at one time, or do you have to go?
When you mean what when you say what do you want to customize? That's on every page.
If the way that it has your name and your business.
Yes,
and
that's all in the back office of e-edge because that populates from your profile in e-edge. So if that needs to change, contact Scott Leroy and he can show you where it is, but I'll show you right now too. Okay, so everybody can see this. So this is where you're going to go. When you go into My Marketing right here in your e-edge control panel and you click on this and you go into Marketing Materials, Create Marketing Materials, and you click this because I want you guys, every one of you, to have a presentation. And what I want is for you to know what you're going to say. The best part about these presentations is it's going to walk you through how to get them to the right price. Because that's the biggest issue is they want to price it at $300,000 and it's a $200,000 house. That's where new agents and experienced agents are separated. Because you guys can't get them to the right price. This walks you through getting them to the right price. The thought process of that. So once you're in here, you come in and you're going to go right here to Print Marketing. Does everyone see that? Print Marketing, because this is something you're going to print out. Now, once you're into print marketing, all of your postcards and birthday cards and everything is in there. So we're going to go over to the left here, and we're going to uncheck everything else except for guides. Now, here's your buyer's presentation, there's your listing presentation, and there's a pre-listing presentation. And this is your script to walk through a listing presentation. And then you can hand it to them when you're done. And you can customize it to them. Now, once you've customized the parts that are going to be the same every time, and you save it, you just go back into that, change it for the next buyer, and save it and save as the next buyer. So let's walk how we do that. So let's go to listing presentation. Now from here, you go right here to personalize. Now I think what Jill was saying is the bottom part, the bottom section that's the same for everybody. I'm going to show you that. So from here, I think there's about 10 pages. It looks lovely. It has your name all over it, the guide to selling. So down here, prepared for, and you put the client's name, compliments of, your name. All of this should be here. You can change any of it. So when you're in there, even Jill, if you didn't want to go change the back office, you could change this right now. You just click on it and say the client's name is John Smith, right there. Maybe you want to change it to your name or blah, 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 blah. Or maybe you want to put the custom logo for our office in there instead of the generic one. Just click on it and replace the picture.
Jess?
Yes, sir?
That bottom left where it says Keller Williams East Idaho.
Yep.
I could not change that. It would not let me change it to Pocatello. So I don't know if I was.
You just type it in.
No, look at you.
You just click on it and then type it in. It's called WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. You should be able, you could delete the whole thing. You could click on this and click this and then just hit delete on your, and delete the whole
You're a wizard.
darn thing out of there if you wanted to. Whoops.
Okay.
I'm not looking at it correctly. Oh, whatever. Anyway, you can take it all, right?
Okay.
So now from here, you can go to the next page and you can write in what the things that are about you, or this is now your script. On a scale of 1 to 10, what one thing has to happen for this transaction for your experience to be a 10? Why is that important to know?
Kids know what their expectations are, because they may have something different in mind.
Exactly right.
Heard of before.
Exactly, and something may be more important to them that you didn't think is that important. Maybe it's the communication. Maybe it's the having less people through their house. Maybe it's having time. Maybe it's I want it to go fast. I want every day an update. Because if they've had a realtor before and they didn't like realtors, especially for sell by owners, what didn't make your experience last time? They didn't tell me what was happening next. And you know at that point what you need to do to service them well. So you should be having all of these conversations. Now we go next to page 2. How does someone win or lose with you? That is so important, you guys. How do I win with you? Call me every day. How do I lose with you? Lie to me. Oh, well, of course I would never lie to you. But they got to express that. And you know at that point, if you ever tell them and you go around the edge, you're going to lose with them. So important. And you go through it. And then it's all about you. You get a chance to put your stuff in here that showcases you, right? Or maybe, guess what? Maybe you don't want any of this. Take it all out. I would encourage you to have that in there. But again, be personal. So tell them about you. Communication talks about this. Look at this. This is in your entire script. Everything that's at your disposal with Keller Williams is here. Where does your market go? Taking open houses beyond the basics. Pricing it right to attract buyers. There's pictures. Right? Understanding pricing misconceptions. Pricing ahead of the market. How do you price? Time on the market works against you. Can you see how this is a great conversation? And if you don't know what to say, this is your script. All the way through. Now here's the next section that you get to go through and put in your CMA information. Through and through and through, right? Here's staging tips. Do you have staging tips ready to hand them? Right? So now, once you go through and you customize this and you hit save, and again, you can take all of this out. Everything in here, you can remove or add. You can put pictures of the house in there. You could do all of those things. So now I hit save, and I'm going to say listing presentation for John Smith. Or it's my template, because I just went in and put the stuff in that I like, right? So let's even say template first, because that's how I want you guys to start out. Template, and we hit save. Now I've changed everything just to be the stuff that I'm going to have on every single listing presentation. Okay, now it's in the My Saved Designs. Click OK. Now I'm going to exit. Now you can see here, guys, you can enter maps in. You can, everything, this is completely customizable. Hit exit, and Scott Leroy's video shows you a lot about that.
So how we find it out?
I'm glad you asked that, Tammy. So let's get out of here and let's go back to search. Now let's say I want to go in and prepare to go to my next listing appointment. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to go to my Create Marketing, and I'm going to click on Saved Designs. Listing Presentation Template. I'm going to click on that little bad boy, open it up. I'm going to edit it. And now I'm going to add John Smith, right, in there, and pictures of the house and the CMA and all of those things, right? Then, hold. Hey, Morgan. Is it 8? Oh, no, that's right. You skipped that meeting. So now we go. I'm just teasing Morgan. ALC this morning, Mr. Morgan? No, not for you. Okay. So we go down here, we change out, and we put the things in there. And then once I change it, I hit save. I change this now to John Smith. Now I have the template in there, and now I also have, now I also have John Smith. Hit save. Once I've saved it, now you can do this to the pre-listing packet. So if you want to send them something before you get there, do the pre-listing packet, download it, and attach it to an email. You're going to print this one out and take it to them. Now we're saved in the designs. Once I exit, download the PDF, and now I can attach it to an email. I can send it to Staples to be printed if I wanted it really pretty. I can do whatever I want. You can even order this, and they'll ship it to you bound and printed. You know, that kind of stuff. So on this, now I can download the PDF. Now, what I would be doing for you guys, if it was me, I would be going in and creating my template and putting everything in there, downloading it, and then when I'm prepping to go, I'm going through it and making sure I know what's going through. If I need to read it through to get better at my presentation, just use that template and then go and customize. So now that I'm downloading the PDF, I probably should have not taken the time to see this. It's going to download. I'm just going to save it to my computer and print it out. Right? You have a professional, personalized listing presentation done. There's a buyer's presentation in there, and there's a pre-listing presentation. If you don't know how to help the buyer get to the needs analysis, remember from going on showing less houses, that is in the buyer's presentation. How to get them to that point. The needs analysis is in the buyer's presentation. So now I save that and download it, and I'm ready to go. And when I go back out, and I go to my Save Designs, now I have my template, and there's John Smith, and I just keep building as many as I need. Is that helpful? Now you can go and create your own listing presentation, absolutely. But you guys, don't waste your time. You can go in and customize this. Get this done now.
So maybe so you can email, you have to save it to HTML first.
No, not HTML. You just have it as an attachment.
An attachment.
Because it's not going to be embedded in the email. It's just a PDF attached. Yep, yep, yep. And now if it was me, because you know, me, what do I love?
Perfection.
Nope. I love videos. Right? I love me the videos. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to do a video giving your pre-listing presentation so they can watch the video and go through your pre-listing presentation before you get there and lock them in. Because isn't it the same conversation? The pre-listing has nothing to do with them. It's talking about what you do and what your services are and blah, 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 blah. Give them that chance to get locked into you before you show up because someone might be going in before you. And don't let them go, oh, I don't know, Jill. So I guess I'll let that agent call and say, oh, no, we've got it taken care of, but we'll make sure to send you the buyers. We'll make sure to send you the opportunity to bring a buyer to earn the commission because that's their script. Right, Michelle? First one in. You want to close them and say, I'll be happy to call those other agents that are supposed to be coming in behind me so it isn't uncomfortable for you, and I'll let them know, and I'll make sure they know first and get a chance to get them, you know. Sometimes agents even pay a referral fee to the friend who's coming in after them just so that they don't go to the next listing appointment because they know the last one in is probably going to get the deal done. You want to be the first and the last.
That was me last night.
Right?
Third one, oh.
Done. Because they're just exhausted at that point. If you can get them to let you in, it's best to be last. But if the first one in can be the last one, that's how you close it. So if you have your scripting on that first time in, if you can get them to say, you know what, guys, let's just get started. Now, if you haven't read the book, Getting Naked, it's powerful. Patrick Lencioni. It's all about when you go in, quit selling your services. Just go to work. And then get them tied in to the fact they're already working with you. We're already working.
So interesting that you just said that.
Yeah.
Because I have had 2 comments about this very thing. But so and this is my conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Because I felt like part of what they were saying is I really don't want to deal with all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Just cut to the chase.
Mm-hmm.
So is this like we're just supposed to read the situation? I mean, it's really tricky.
So I would come to my disc class next time it comes in and you'll understand. If someone wants to cut to the chase, they're a high D. And if you had a pre-listing packet sent out with them, they would have signed the listing agreement the day you walked in. Because they would have already had the idea, tell me about the price and let's sign this up. That's how you get a D, because they do not want to listen to all your words.
Well, I don't know how to do that before you even open your mouth or they open.
Pre-listing packet. Pre-listing packet. Have a short video, have them have something to read already, and have them committed to you before you walk in the door. So you can go say, okay, you know what? You have any questions? Are you ready to sign the listing agreement? No? Okay, then let's go through the presentation. Ask them first, because they might already be ready. Right? I would be. All right, if you can get the price that we want, I'll sign. Then I don't have to listen to all the words. Oh, the words. So many words. So much explanation. Are you going to do the job? Can we sell for what I want? I want to know that beforehand. So that might be, and that's your high Ds. Your S's are the ones that are wanting to ask lots of questions and talk and talk and talk more. And you might have one, so you may have to do that. Now, you might have a high D husband and a high S wife. So give the husband a chance to say, husband, do you have any questions? If they're the ones saying, let's go. Otherwise, I'll just sit, let's get the price, and then you can go, and then I'll answer that wife's questions afterwards. So let's sign the listing agreement. And I'll sit here as long as we want with the wife as soon as that listing agreement is signed. Right? So get comfortable looking at that. So come to my disc class because you're going to learn how to deal with those personalities. Okay. So listing presentations, buyer's packets. I'm gonna call you guys, and I want everyone to say I use it every time. I always have a listing presentation, and I always have a buyer's presentation every single time, because I will tell you, winging it is not going to get the job done for you, because Michelle Robinson's coming in after you, and she's going to close the deal.
Oh boy.
Every time. Yes.
Justin, I need you to call me.
Justin, Michelle needs you to call her.
I do need to call her.
Okay. Not now.
I'm
Okay.
calling you right now.
So let's.
Hey,
Oh,
Jeff,
yes.
all right. I didn't reference me walking the neighborhood and selling that house.
Oh.
I mean, so I did that. You guys challenged everybody to walk the neighborhood, and I kind of referenced it before, but this house that I sold, I ended up listing it as well, but it never got listed. So, I mean, I represented the seller and the buyer, which is, that was good. But, dude, walk the neighborhood. That is so awesome. There's two now in my neighborhood that no one knew that was for sale, and it's going to work out. So I just encourage. I mean, I'm nobody yet, but just walk the neighborhood. Nobody else is doing it. Not here anyway.
I'm so glad you said that, Justin. Thank you for saying that, because in reality, there are agents that are not willing to do that. But you guys are going to have to get up past your fears and all your misconceptions of walking the neighborhood. It works. If there's a house for sale in that neighborhood, most likely there's two to three other people in that neighborhood thinking of buying, just as a result of someone wanting to sell their house in their neighborhood. Just the way it works. And if you're not willing to do it, you've got to be willing to do the things no one else does and do it better. That's it. Even a blind squirrel can find a nut. Brand new agents are successful. How does that happen? How is it possible that brand new agents that are monkeys with guns can be successful, like Michelle? Were you a monkey with a gun when you first started? She would shoot anything that moved. I will tell you that. And look at what she's doing. And it's not because it was because she wasn't afraid. Jody Holland is the same thing. Ignorance on fire. Do the things everyone else's mindset is keeping them from doing. Go to work. Do not let your mindset keep you from doing it. That's why we do open houses. That's why we walk the neighborhoods. That's why we do it. Because other agents have let themselves say, I don't need to do that, or I don't want to, it doesn't work. And now the opportunity is yours. Otherwise, only experienced agents would be successful in this business.
And it's cheap.
And it's cheap, right, Justin? That doesn't cost any money.
No.
Put on your Lamborghinis and get out there.
That's right.
Okay, so let's look at the leaderboard. Nice job, Sheila. Lori Lambright, killing it in connections. Justin Toll took over handwritten notes. Nice job. Homes previewed, Lori Lambright. Justin on appointments, killing it. Agreements and contracts. Well done. You will be busy for the rest of your life. That's the thing, is you cannot let that be your, and don't mean to yell at you. This is what I do. So it will always feel like that. Tammy may have said it, but every one of you thought it in your mind. Oh, I've just been so busy to get it done. That will never end. And if it does, you're not making any money. So you just have to calendar it. You have to put it in. You have to get it done. Okay, Morgan Peterson. Here he is. Come on to the front, Mr. Morgan Peterson. All right. Come on up. Today, you guys get a treat. Don't tell anybody else. Morgan's my favorite. So I have to say that. So on this, Morgan is going to talk today about closing the deal. Morgan, I have encouraged them to remember that if you get a deal, keeping it together is how we make our money.
Yeah.
Right? So they need to ask questions. Let me show you a little
What's Phil
demo.
doing?
That's Phil right there.
Hi, Phil.
So,
It's kind of slightly creepy.
Yeah.
But that's great.
Hi, Mord.
that makes him feel really good. Yeah. So you've got Justin and Pocatello, Rachel Atchison, Marie Spafford, Laura Lambright. All of them are in there. So your camera is right there that they see you from. Here's your slides to change your slides here. Now, if you have a slide that they need to see better than just like this, then all you do is hit share screen and desktop 1 and then share that. And these guys get small and now they can see the slide.
So should I just leave that on there?
No, because you're not. There's only like 7 or 8 slides, isn't there? Only if you think they need to see that. Okay. And then all you do here is once that's done, they hit stop share, and they come right back.
So Justin and Phil, will you remind me as I'm going through if there's something that you want to see, then I can do that whole thing.
Yep. Okay. And then when you're done, when it's all over, just click end meeting, and it say end meeting for everybody, and you're done. And leave everything on.
Cool.
That's it. Yes.
Friday, I know the office is closed.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. So thank you for mentioning that. Okay, you guys, we are still finishing on Friday. The front office is closed because it's Observation of Veterans Day and the title companies are closed. We will be finishing. We will do Ignite on Friday. Okay? So I'm teaching the final Ignite. This is the chance. This is the last one to get us going. So be here 9 a.m. on Friday and finish strong. I'm going to have treats. We're going to have some fun things. It'll be fun. Right?
You need to email me a treat then.
I will email you a treat. We'll make sure there's treats in Pocatello. And if you're independent, I'll check with, I'm going to Pocatello today, so I'll see you guys here in a little bit. But, so yes, so please be here. I'm going to have prizes for the people who have got all their stuff in their daily 10-4. So please log your stuff in, and I want final numbers put up on the board. So I'll see you guys on Friday. Otherwise, you guys get the amazing Morgan Peterson. You're up.
Where are you going?
I'm going to Pocatello.
Right now?
Right now. Huh. Good luck. I'll send Paula down a check on you every once in a while. So you're starting with get your head in the game.
Where does that go? So I really hate the
Right here.
the learning stuff. I don't know.
Learning? You hate learning?
I don't
say that
hate the
out
learn.
loud.
I hate the
the same.
your instructor stuff. Like it starts like halfway through it, and then it says teach this, but don't teach that stuff. Anyway, I'll get it.
I'm really sorry about all of that.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
The red part is the instructor stuff.
All right. So has anybody took Ignite before? Steven, have you took it before? Okay. So something that's awesome is you guys get to do something that I never got the opportunity to do, and that was Ignite when I first started. And Jess is probably the best Ignite. Are you an instructor?
I am.
Profitability coach?
I am.
What else are you?
I'm also the team leader.
Also the team leader. So I did get that opportunity, but for her to be an instructor and a coach is it's pretty awesome. So Jess is a huge mentor to me, and if you guys listen to everything she says, you are going to have no choice but to be successful. So I'm Morgan Peterson. I've done real estate for about 13 years, and in the last 5 years, my business doubled, and then it's increased about 20% every year since then. This year, our team goal was 125. We're going to be just a little bit shy of that, and we'll clear 100 transactions. And then we have some huge goals for 2018. So with that, if you guys have any questions or anything, I've started just from the same thing you guys started, came in, did 5 transactions a year, and increased it year by year. So what is so we're in the close the deal. What are some things that you guys? What are you hoping to learn today, or do you have any ideas or anything like that? Phil, what do you want to learn?
Good question.
Are you in the bathroom right now?
No.
Oh. Okay.
That's funny.
Just shut off the camera if you guys that happens. So to close the deal. So the cool thing about closing the deal is that there's a process, right? So there's what happens before the contract, which I'm sure you guys have learned thus far, and then from contract to close. Now, when you get a contract, a lot of agents think this is going to be great because then in 30 days I don't really do anything, and we get to pick up a check and when it closes, right? Well, there's so much more that happens between contract to close. So how many have closed a deal on their own? Steve? Okay, so half. Is it the same of what you thought it would be, or is it a little bit different? What are some things that maybe have popped up that you didn't realize really happened in a real estate transaction?
There's more damage control than I thought there would be. And by damage control, I mean hand holding, trying to figure things out that you thought were already taken care of. Yeah.
Justin here. I had financing issues. I'm still right in the middle of that mess, but the lender decided to not live up to what he said. And so we ended up switching everything right now. And so.
Okay. Was it at a last moment, or was it in the middle, or?
He was, well, we're right. I just, signed all the paperwork. We're not closed until the November 30th. But because the house is still under construction, I mean, they're remodeling the whole thing, but the lender just decided, I don't know how to answer that. We're right in the middle. So.
Okay. Well, Justin, I hope that works. And if you guys, if you need any help or anything that way, please let me know, and hopefully I can help walk you through it. So that being said, so financing issues. So it's important to know your lenders, know who you're working with. For me, if there's a lender that I don't know very well, so you could use trust, or if there's a new lender, out of state lender, those are huge red flags for me. And then the other thing is damage control. So Stephen, a huge thing that we've learned as a team, and what I know is that the more systems that you have in place and the more that you go through it, the less damage control you'll have to have. So the more info that you can give, if you know that they're going to need these certain items, say CC&Rs, or if you have a system for a lender or different things, the more that you can do things the same every single time, the less you're going to feel like you're chasing the deal and more just letting the deal happen.
The more prepared you are, the less likely there's going to be a curveball.
Absolutely. 100%. So the first part of real estate sales process is the hard, focused work in making connections and achieving agreements. The second part is a wide-eyed, vigilant guardianship of the transaction until it makes it to closing. So we have some that have had the closed deals. Who is in the process of closing a deal? Okay. Is everything going smooth?
For now,
Perfect. What part is it?
we're just getting done with inspection. I've got two of them. One, we've sent our inspection contingency over, so we're waiting for a response.
Sure.
And the other one, we just got done with inspection, so I'm waiting for them to tell me what they're concerned about.
Sure.
That's where we're at.
Okay. Well, awesome. So let's see here. So that has so we start off with our leads and then our appointments, and then we get them under, we put them in agreement, and then we put them under contract. And so it's just that last little bit that's the most crucial. So it's knowing the process, and like I was talking to Steven. So let's see. has somebody closed both each a buyer and a seller? No? Yes? Okay. Did you find that it was the exact same or that it was a little bit different?
Same stuff kind of has to be done, but it's a different perspective. It's the other side. Like inspections, you're on one side, you're dealing with inspection items with the seller, and on the other side, you're trying to help guide the buyer and discern what the important things may be to request. It's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mine is, well, like I said, I haven't done anything before, and I was walking my neighborhood and got this one. And so, yeah, I'm doing both, and it's kind of stressful. Just trying to please everyone is not going to happen, but you know, you juggle as best you can and hope it goes through, I guess. But
so the strong thing on, or the big thing on that is when you say you can't please anybody. The cool thing about Keller Williams is the first thing on our belief system is a win-win or no deal. So when you can get both parties to come to mind that they know that they are both agreeing on something, it's not everything's going to be one person's way or the other. Does that make sense? We got to come to an agreement of some sort to make it a win-win for both. Otherwise, if it's slanted on one side or the other, then that's when you're going to have one party upset at the other. And so instead of going against the seller or going against that buyer who's buying it, if you can work it out and create a win-win, then that's when you're going to have a more successful, more, I'd say more of a happy deal. What do you think, Michelle?
Absolutely. I mean, sometimes it feels like you're like a referee, because the goal is to get the best. You're representing both of them. It's almost impossible because you just referee. You just help them find a common ground.
Right.
And that's not always easy. My phrase that I've learned in my short little time doing this is real estate transaction brings up crazy in the most sane people. And being in front of it is the best thing I've learned how to do. Is just being telling them, what does an inspection mean to a buyer? What does it mean to a seller? Well, you know, if the grass isn't cut the right length, you don't get to bring that up. But the attic doesn't have let's talk about it.
Sure.
In front of it and letting them know that's what you minimized it. That you can't. I mean, that's really the hardest part of our job.
Right.
Is being the referee.
So can you guys hear her on the mic? Okay.
barely.
So the four things that we're going to go through is to know the process, systems equal success, and seize this golden opportunity. And the fourth is our favorite, to get paid. So one, to know the process. There's so many, and I need to memorize the number, but there is so many people and parties in a real estate transactions that it's important to understand that and to know. So can you imagine, has anybody called a for sale by owner before? So yeah, Stephen has. And so when you call a for sale by owner, you know, I felt this way. I know others have felt this way, that they say, man, why would that person possibly want to use me when the market's so great right now and they could sell it on their own? Have you guys ever thought that? Well, there's so many things that they don't know. So another question is how many of you would jump into a semi truck and because you know how to drive and make a haul from Idaho Falls to Utah, right? So it's different. It's the exact same thing as selling a car or, you know, something like that, but it's completely different. There's a lot more rules. There's a lot more safety issues. There's a lot of things that you can provide for them and that you can teach them how to do it. And so by walking somebody through that process of selling a home so, I mean, a lot of people don't know. They get an offer and they're excited, but they don't know what title company to use. They don't know if that lender is approved or if it's a if it's a good lender. And so a lot of it is just that protection. So the process is, so closing, sometimes known as a settlement, is a detail-driven process that brings together a variety of parties to legally finalize the sales transaction. Depending on the specific details and location of the transaction, the parties to the sale may include the following individuals. So we're going to have buyers, right? There's going to be another agent involved. We have lending. We have closing and escrow companies. We have, let's see, sometimes we have family or friends lending money to that buyer or gifting money to the buyer. We have the sellers and their families. Sometimes we have attorneys. We have the members of our team. We have third parties. If it's a loss mitigation, relocation, or if it's in a state. And then the market center staff, transaction coordinators, and things like that. The one thing that that they have in there as lenders, I don't think that we realize, is that it says just a loan officer and mortgage processor, but there's so many now assistants to the loan officers, and there's underwriting, and there's management, and there's a lot more to a loan than just one or two people. As a project manager of the transaction, it is our responsibility to ensure that all the parties know what is expected of them and deliver on our commitments and on time. There's no such thing as over communication. Clearly outline the role and responsibility you own to set expectations with all parties involved, but how and when things will happen. So in real estate, we want to be the professional, and we want to be the go-to resource and the problem solver when needed. And then also to reinsure our clients and other parties through the process. So on that, when it says that there's no such thing as over communication, what's the best way to communicate? Anybody? Mm-hmm. What if we're doing a deal? What is your name? Brittany. So what if we're doing a deal and I'm like, Brittany, I'm really busy. I only want you to text or email me. Where do you go from there?
It depends on if they're like selling a house or if they're buying. Certain things you're gonna want to present over the phone or in person to them.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they get an offer on their house, I'm gonna want to call them and talk to them about it, not just let them look at it. So I mean that's fine, but there's gonna be things that I do talk to you about. So we'll have a good time. We'll just schedule time.
Perfect script, right? So she says that there's going to be times that she needs to actually talk to me because they're going to be crucial, and it's not something that you can deliver a text or on an email, right? So before emojis, when we knew how everybody was feeling at every second when we were typing back and forth, it was pretty easy to change a conversation, right? So I could say, or that's fine. Like I hated it when my wife would say, hey, will you get something for dinner? And I would say, yeah, how is this? And she'd type, that's fine. I'm like, is that a happy, that's fine? Is that a she's excited, that's fine? Or is that like, yeah, why is it that? Why does it always have to be that? I guess that's fine, right? So it was impossible to know what somebody was thinking. So texting and emails, I would say, is probably some of the, I think we use emails more for documentation to go through a conversation, say, due to our conversation, this is what we're doing, this is what we did, more of a follow-up. But I think you're right. Well, I know that you're right. You have to always, we tell people, well, we need to have a phone conversation with you at least minimum once a week. We would really like at least twice a week. So I can appreciate that you're busy. I want to remind you, in order for us to effectively keep you in the loop and to do the best job on selling your home or helping you buy this home, there's a lot of conversations that we need to get caught up on the phone. I've had a lot of people kind of reject that, invitation. And then it's funny is that you're texting and you're emailing, and then in 3 weeks, they're like, man, I never hear from you. I'm like, well, I have like a whole book of, dialogue that you and I have gone back and forth. And so phone calls are definitely important.
So do you try to turn the texting and say, what I really prefer, or do you just go with it and then wait for them to decide, probably we should talk on the phone?
So I would never wait for somebody to say we need to talk on the phone, because usually that's bad. But that's a great question. So just like what Brittany said, I would tell them, first I'll say, what's the best way to communicate with you? Text is fine. Everybody says text, right? Like, I have friends that I call and they ignore me, and then they text and they say, hey, what's up? In fact, Jess is like one of the worst. I don't know if it's you guys that maybe can get through to her, but I can never. She just says, hey, sorry, I'm in a meeting. Text me. I'm like, you're not in a meeting. I'm on the other side of the room. Like, I know that you can answer whatever. So anyway, I just say, so they say, Morgan, the best way to communicate is text and email. And I say, hey, you know what? That's fantastic. However, once or twice a week, we do need to chat on the phone so that I can give you an update and that we're on the same page. It's just a clear communication.
And so what is the feedback from them typically? Oh, okay. Or, well, I don't like that. I mean, just in your experience, what typically happens?
So usually it's a, yeah, okay. But sometimes, so then that's when you're going to start knowing your client, right? So if they're like, well, I'm it's always going to have to be text or email. Then I'm just going to warn you that client, probably 9 times out of 10, is going to be a lot more hard to deal with than what you're really going to be wanting, because there's a lot of things that are going to be twisted in those texts and emails. And it's hard to give a full detail, or it's hard to negotiate offers, whether it is a buyer or seller, all through text or email. Does that make sense?
You can't hear tone. You can't hear mood. I mean, you just can't do that in text or email.
Right. The other thing is texting seems like it is so much faster. Well, it depends on who you're talking to. There's sometimes people who love to talk that takes a long time, but there's a lot that you can get done in a 5-minute conversation. And so there's great ways, you know what I mean? Just call and say, hey, I just need 5 minutes of your time just to give you a quick update. Maybe give me a call on your way home or on your way to the store, and I'll just fill you in real quick.
It's hard enough on a phone conversation to really get a clear picture because you're not seeing body language. Good at text, and there is just words, really.
Right.
You can't get, well, they really excited about this offer, or do they want me dead right about now?
Right.
It's
100% true.
Michelle. Each time we see Mike Johnston walking around in a suit, it's not 100% of the time. Majority of the time, he's going for one of us, for somebody who he's representing brokers or something. He told us a story remember that one where there was they got a big lawsuit over a text message. Remember what? I mean, it was.
I can't remember what it was.
Your wife said it was just like it could have gone any way, but it was implied one way, and the text message said something very basic, like I don't remember what it was, but it was a lawsuit over text messaging. So my opinion, and since that day, I love to communicate over text to be really quick and easy. But if it has to do with a contractual event, it really needs to be either in person or verbally. You know that, and to be a little bit more peak aware of how could your text message be misread? How could that's fine.
Right.
I love that. That's a husband wife thing. But in our careers, it's the same idea. It can be dramatically, and in fact, I had texted one of my first assistants that I had. I text her, we're gonna look. The phrase was, we're gonna look for a different place, not a house, a different place to eat dinner with my clients. She sent termination paperwork out.
Oh.
Yeah. That was a shit show. She didn't say no. But
that means not very good for you guys.
It was my first 300, and $25,000 transaction, and she said, we're gonna go someplace else, we're gonna do something different. And she sent that evening, she sent that day, and her job sent a termination paperwork. About so lost my head.
And maybe the point of that is dig further, you know,
Yeah,
don't make us.
Like what do you have in mind?
Right, contractually, if it has something to do with the any sort of an RE item, RE tens, the inspections, RE 21s, of course, if it has anything to do with it really needs to not be over text messaging. It really, and it's even better, in my opinion, if it's over an email. Yes, I'm okay with this offer. However, if you're actually changing something, they need to sign off on it as well, right? They have to sign off and everything. But when we're doing those digital signatures, I don't think they're not reading. They're listening to us, right? Do you have that? I mean, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
They just assume we're reading their minds perfectly.
Yeah, that's a scary thing because there's, I mean, even the cheapest house you can sell them is still $100,000. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, the $45,000 one I did today. So.
Your shoulder for 45.
It's still a lot more. I mean, if somebody's buying a house for $45,000, if they're not an investor, it's still the most expensive thing that they've been able to purchase. So the contract to close process. So this is pretty cool. I think. Do I have a pointer? All right. Can you guys see this? Very good.
It's a little small.
Is it?
That's on page 14. There's lights up there.
Oh, the lights are right there behind you. Where you were. I thought you were going back there for perspective.
Okay. Is that easier? No? Nobody cares? All right. So the first thing we do is we get an offer. And then there's the first three: rejection, acceptance, counter, inspection. Man, inspections are pretty gnarly. Has anybody had a bad inspection? Brittany, you had one?
Mm-hmm.
What happened?
There was mold in the attic, a lot. And so it turned to the point where we had to kind of convince the sellers, hey, if I know it's not like this state, you're gonna have to disclose that there's mold. Would you please fix it for these buyers that want to buy it? Or
Sure.
so it was just a touchy subject.
Yeah.
Obviously, with any homeowner.
Yeah. It's tough, right? Anybody else? Steven?
There was one situation where we had an inspector do his thing, and the electricity hadn't been turned on, and there was clear evidence that there was knob and tube wiring, and he was kind of ranting that wasn't, that's not cool. It can be safe, but why risk it? Kind of a thing, he was going on and on. And then the selling agent had already told me that, look, the electrical system isn't hooked up to the knob and tube. It's been disconnected. And then we had him come in a week later when the electricity had been turned on, and all the knob and tube had been pulled except for one little spot, which clearly wasn't on.
Right.
And it was just a situation where there was a little too much drama at that point because we really didn't know or couldn't tell.
Right. Right. So I've had a few of those. Anybody else? So Michelle and I just had a deal, and she is one that would definitely send me a text message, and then I'd call her right back because I'd be like, well, like where is she at on, you know what I mean, as far as this goes. But our inspection came back, and man, there was just a bunch of small things, but then there was a septic that the roots came through. So the whole septic system was filled with roots. It's a $148,000 house, and the one guy comes out and gives us a bid that it's like $14,000 to fix the septic. Well, we actually had somebody else come and say, well, that's pretty extreme because you can just do this, and it ended up being like a $2,500 fix. But the inspection, like what Steven says, it can be way blown out of proportion. And something that Brett Magleby taught me or taught us is the two things that we're looking for. Does anybody know for an inspection?
Structural issues.
Mm-hmm. And
Safety.
two things: structural and safety. I call them the two S's. So when I have a buyer and we go through and we do an inspection, I say we're looking for two things. One is anything structural damage, and two is safety. So a broken window, is that structural or safety? Not like it could be, right? It could be a safe hazard, but I mean everybody who buys a house kind of plans on having all of the windows work or to be, good windows, right? So that is one that I also maybe call a bonus. But if there's a foundation issue, if there's a leak, if there's a crack, if there's anything with the foundation, or some of the, if you go and you see a load-bearing wall that hasn't been taken care of properly in an unfinished basement or older house, and you see pillars all over in the basement holding it up, those are things that definitely need to be addressed.
Okay, I get confused between the inspection and the appraisal process. So if someone puts an offer on a house, and then it's $130,000 house,
Sure.
so there's going to be issues.
Sure.
So they go through, and they had that property disclosure form, but something is discovered in the inspection process. Then what?
Okay.
Like structural or safety.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't the appraisal. This is just the inspection.
Just the inspection.
So as the buyer, are we supposed to move forward and insist that these things be repaired?
Great question.
Or the offer is
Okay, so when we get the offer accepted, we have 5 to 10 days, whatever you put in the contract, to do an inspection, right? So that's going to be before your appraisal. So appraisal is going to be something obviously completely different that the bank is going to require, right? So we're looking for structural and safety. So like what you're saying, if somebody comes through and there's a crack in the foundation or some safety, maybe it's any electrical issue, that there is some knob and tube that hasn't been repaired, or there's a lot of times with new furnaces that they're not vented right. So that's a carbon monoxide issue. So those are the things that that's when you put it in your inspection contingency. Hey, we got to have these things fixed. We don't want anybody dying when they move into this house, or we don't want this house to fall apart, in the next, forever while these guys own it. And so,
can I bug you?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm having issues with that right now. There's no sinks, there's no anything like that. So I'm having to do the appraisal first. Is that an issue? I mean, I don't know how they're supposed to do that anyway.
You're going to have them do a appraisal first?
Yeah. They can look at the stuff going in. They can't, I don't know. It's
So great question. So me personally, I would always have, are you representing buyer or seller?
Yes.
Both?
Yes.
I would do an inspection no matter what, because when something does come back, they're going to say, Justin, you never had me do an inspection. And then that's going to be, is it Justin or Phil?
Justin.
All right. So they're going to say, Justin, you didn't have me do an inspection. And so, it could come back on you.
I mean, we have it scheduled. It's just in a backward order. So we're going to do the appraisal first because they can't really do an inspection without any water in there. So I'll get it done, and that is the goal and the plan. But I didn't know if it was okay to do it backwards.
Issue other than if the inspection comes back bad, then they've just spent money on an appraisal as well.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
That part really kind of sucks. But so then there's so that we have these inspection items, and I let our buyers know what's some things that are not going to be maybe that we're going to look at on an inspection.
Something like maybe a cracked faceplate on an outlet. It's going to be noted in the inspection, but it's not necessarily something you're going to have a seller take care of. I mean, it's a $2 or $3 thing. You take a screwdriver and replace.
Has anybody had a home inspection come back that was 100% perfect? Right? Every house, and inspectors will find, their job is to find everything that's wrong with the property and then disclose it. Not that they're trying to kill the deal, but they just want the person buying it. Well, they want the seller also to be aware of, this is everything that's wrong with the house that you're selling, and the buyer needs to understand that because they're going to be inheriting those problems, whether big or small. Does that make sense? And so us as agents, we need to look at that, because I agree. Outlet covers, I don't. But what if a door doesn't close right? Like what if it doesn't close at all? Like an interior door, it sticks, or there's. So that's a judgment call. You know, it doesn't matter that much to your buyer. Is your buyer a handy guy that could, shave a little bit off that door? Yeah.
What do you do when you have
If not, I know a realtor who could do it for him.
What's
that
that?
are picking it like what done, including cosmetic things that you're like not.
Right.
What do you do? How do you
So
steer them in the right direction, so to speak?
So again, and that's where we're going to go into our like our systems. Like I almost throw that into a system as far as before we hire an inspection, we're going to disclose to them, look, there's going to be a million things wrong with this house. Maybe not a million, but at least 100, right? So we're going to have to gauge them from 0 to 10, and also if it's structural or safety. And just like what Michelle was saying, if it's, sometimes people are like, man, the grass is long, or there's this or that, or, there's different things. And we have to explain to them, no house is going to be perfect. But then it is important to listen to them and know what is important to them. Because for me, I think that all doors should be able to shut. And I think that all windows should be able to operate appropriately. Unless it's an older home, the window is it's not really one that needs to open and close, and it's a sturdy window that's been there. You know what I mean? That's a new window isn't going to affect really anything too much. Screens. You're going to have screens on windows probably 9 times out of 10. Is that structural or safety? Not really. But I mean, if a door can open, it'd be nice to have a screen on it, right? So that's a big thing. So I always coach them, and there's some people who you're not going to be able to control, and then that takes it even before this whole process that hopefully Jess will help you guys with, is to teach your clients on how to treat you. Come with the value, come with something so that they respect your opinion. But you're going to have some people that say, nope, not happening. I want this, this, and this, and this, and this done. It's just,
I'm slightly worried about the one that's happening today.
And so, but the best thing that I learned was the 2 S's. Because then they kind of know what I'm looking for going into it. And a lot of people don't want to be that jerk. Most people don't want to be the jerk. Some people want to be that jerk that knows everything. But most people are like, man, it's right. It's not structural or safety, but I mean, this closet door doesn't, latch or close. Do you think that they would fix that? Do you think that they would fix this sort of thing? So
what does that look like from your side as a listing agent when you have the buyer coming back saying really nitpicky stuff? Typically, how do your clients respond, or is there no typical response?
Great question. So from a buyer's, if you're a buyer's agent and you're going to be submitting a lot of buyer's contracts from the selling side, because so even though you're under contract, that's all negotiable, right? Now you're back into negotiations with your inspections. And so that's the one thing. So if we get a list, it's just we just go through and we cross off the ones that we think are ridiculous as on our point of view and as the seller, and then we'll go back and say, all right, we'll fix items 1, 3, 6, 9, 15, and 42, right? So then they know. But the thing that sucks as the buyer's agent is because if they've let that get out of control, then that's a fire that they have to deal with, and they're like, oh man, they're not even going to do, half of what we asked them to do. But sometimes it's nitpicky, stupid things on a house that's built in 1950 that it's like any house that you go to in 1950 or in this price range is going to have all of these things, right? No house is perfect. And that's the other thing that I let them know. It's because they're like, oh man, this is going to be great. I don't think we even need an inspection. I say, well, you do need an inspection because there's things that happen that we don't know about. However, we want to make sure it's structural and safe for you guys. So does that help? So a laundry list is always bad.
So educate your client before they send out listing.
Yeah. And depending on what it is, we always do an allowance. We'll say, all right, so if you're so smart to pick out all of these things, then you got to be pretty smart to fix them. So we're going to give you $600 and you can fix whatever you want to fix.
So you prioritize what's the biggest deal to do.
Yeah. Because, we don't want to ever kill the deal on something like that, but at the same thing, we're not going to make the house brand new.
If somebody walks in and says, we're going to repaint every single room in this house, you don't want to lose the deal over little G. Looks like a circus has been to town. You just look at it and say, well, how much paint going to cost? Is it good? Get an allowance, you guys can pick out your paint.
Right.
Okay. So something like that's what you're talking about, allowance.
You could do an allowance that way, in your offer as well. But even as a buyer's agent, and that's a case-by-case issue. How good of a deal is the house? What kind of house is it? I have a client right now that's buying a house that I believe is worth $250,000 and they're paying $175,000. And he asks me, well, what stuff can I put on the inspection? I'm like, well, guy, you're paying about $75,000 under value. I don't think they're going to fix much.
Did you say that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like that. You've got to understand that this guy's barely walking away and you're walking away with a huge chunk of equity. However, we're still going to do an inspection. And what if something, what if we find that there's on the far wall or something that there's just a lot of water and that the foundation's crumbled. They want to get out of that, right? That's not worth the $75,000.
25 off right there.
Right, but they need to know that. They need to see if it's worth what it is that they want to do. So yeah.
There was in a former life. There were situations that I saw from time to time where the buyer's agent the buyers would beat the sellers up on price during negotiations, and then they would expect the laundry list being done. And the sellers didn't feel very cooperative at that point because they were nickel and dimed when initially negotiating.
Sure.
As opposed to, being a little more relaxed on the price and knowing that there's going to be some things that will need to be taken care of on the inspection side too.
Great.
And it's just one way everybody's happy, the other way they're like tooth and nail.
Right. So great, and that's another thing to maybe set that expectation too with your buyers. To say, you're purchasing, well, just like I did. You're going to be purchasing, and there's not going to be a lot that they're going to want to give up, because that does happen. You'll have a house listed for say $200,000 for something at $190,000, and they're paying part of closing costs, and they're not excited about any of that. and then a laundry list comes through. It's like, really, we'll just go for the next offer.
So then how do they break that contract? They just say, no, we'll do that, and
Yeah.
broken?
Mm-hmm.
Most contracts are pending inspection.
Yeah.
So
if an inspection comes back, you have a contingency, and then you can respond back in writing, we're not fixing anything. And then typically it's up to the buyers to choose to do that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, and we just had one come back and it said, upon inspection, you have to give us the opportunity to fix these things. You can't back out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that's just, at this point, inspection is not going to change anything, right?
Well, in a way, but usually sometimes if you get those and there's a lot of laundry list things and they say you have to give us the opportunity, I mean, it's a great thing to put in there, in the contract. But if somebody gives you a laundry list to your sellers, they're not going to fix them. You know what I mean?
The seller can back out.
And then the seller can just say no, and then the buyer can back out. But if there's what has happened in that is that sellers had that 5 day, and buyers had that 5 day, or your inspection window, and then in that they would just walk away. They didn't understand that they were under contract, and so that they would say, "Oh, we're in our inspection period. We're just going to walk away from it." Does that make sense? They can in the inspection period. So then that's why there's that clause that comes out. But then, I mean, that's what we've had people do as well. We're going to just request all of the stuff and just see if they'll fix it. Hey, Jeff, did you just get on here?
I did, dude. What's up?
How are you? How am I doing so far? Is that right?
Awesome, man.
So then we have the inspections. Does anybody have any more questions on the inspections? No? So then we shoot it over to title. And what does the title do?
Essentially make sure there aren't any inappropriate liens or anything that would cause the title to not be conveyed.
Right. Would be some more things that, besides lanes. Anybody have any ideas?
Cloudy title where there's something that's just not marketable because there's something that's not right.
Sure.
So improper legal description or something that just, somebody didn't sign up the proper paperwork to get off that house. Somebody else didn't sign the proper ones to be on the house.
Or what about property lines dispute? I mean, sometimes people have had a property that's been there forever, and they try to sell it, and they find out that it's really not as big as what they thought it was, or that it is as big as what they thought it is, that big, but then their property goes halfway into the neighbor's field too, and the neighbor thinks that that's theirs. Does that make sense?
Yeah, where the property lines aren't quite where they thought it was.
Right.
And they may have built a shed or a fence out on someone else's property or vice versa.
So as we're going through all of this, imagine yourself being a for sale by owner.
Right.
Not knowing any of this, right? So you guys are agents and you're asking great questions. For sale by owner doesn't even know these questions to ask, right? So a quick deal. I don't know if these guys can see it, but there was a piece of property that I sold in Rigby, and it was shaped about like this because this was water. And so this was the property, this was the neighbors, and this was a highway that went just like that, right? So it just met in a section. Well, the crazy thing is this lady owned this farm for about 40 years. And so for 40 years, then she wants to sell it. So we have a buyer, we go to purchase this property. Well, what's crazy is it was surveyed before that, and then it was surveyed before that, and it was sergeants and can't remember the other people's name. But this is a ditch. right there. Well, the craziest thing happened is that the surveyor who surveyed it the first time marked it on the high water mark and surveyed all of this. Excuse me, that was the second time. The first one surveyed it and surveyed just the outside of that. So it left this inside strip of the canal to the previous seller. And so then what happened before, and then what happened after that is they sold it again. Somebody else, they did the same thing, but then it was just a more narrow strip. So now they try to sell it to us, and what we didn't realize until we had title look at it, is there is a 2 foot, get this, 2 foot by 280 feet piece of property that still belonged to the Sargents that they thought that they sold 60 years ago. So we didn't have access to the property. And so wouldn't that be nice to know, instead of us spending 800 grand, my party spending 800 grand on this piece of property and then going to develop it and then finding out that we can't do anything because these guys own that much. Does that make sense? So what we did, we had to do some title research and different things that way, and we called the Sargents and asked them, and they said, "Oh yeah, we'll just deed it to you." So then that absorbed into the property and gave us access. I thought you were gone.
You had a worried look in your eyes.
And she drove all the way back from Blackfoot for that.
Right. So so to clear title, what is some other great things that the title does and helps us with? Right.
Because a lot of times people, newlyweds, sometimes a parent will be signing their name on the child because they're willing to down payment. There might be, and just husband and wife, but maybe, there's other people on the for a reason.
Or mortgages, right? I've had deals that we wanted to close, and I've, by listing the property, how much do we? Let's see. How much do we? How much do we owe? And so then you give them a net sheet, right? What they failed to tell me is that they had a second mortgage for $9,000. So then it comes down to the title company in closing, or before that when they send out the HUD, and you're like, whoa! I know I told you you're going to get $14,000 back, but you're really going to get $3,000 because you didn't tell me about this second. Well, then they say, well, that's not going to work because bam, 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 right? So the good thing about title is they help us find that stuff out quicker than what we can. They can find recorded deeds and help us with all of that. Does that make sense?
So are your people able to pull out at that point when they're like, oh, well, we're not going to make as much as we want, so we're not doing it?
They shouldn't be able to, because the people buying it still want it, right?
They're under contract.
They're still under contract.
Sorry.
And they didn't disclose everything. And in your listing of paperwork, it says that you need to disclose everything, that you're disclosing everything, to the best of your knowledge. And
yeah, if it came down to it, the buyers could take the sellers to court to force that transaction.
Right. So, so clean title. So we've got the offer. We've got through the inspection. We're getting through the clean title. Now we have, the escrow instructions, the closing disclosure, and then the closing. What are some other things that can happen in these things that, what's some other items that can happen or that can come up?
Before closing.
Yeah.
So we have one. I had one, my very first one. The water well it tested present. So we did a second test, and that one came present.
and that just threw the buyers into, panic mode. And I was asking everybody, I'm like, what words of comfort can I give them? We ended up having to have a well company go out there and do a little bit more extensive testing to put them at ease. And also, we did finally get a clear testing, but it took, the third one came back clear, but it was, and we were down to we had to extend our closing date because of it.
Right.
So, I don't know if that's what you were talking about, but
No,
that was
exactly.
the tail end of it where thought we were almost on, could see the finish line, and then all of a sudden, the finish line disappeared almost.
So that's on your well, right?
Right.
So when should a well and a septic be pumped or inspected?
Annually, isn't it?
Right, but let's say just in the transaction.
Oh,
So at inspection, maybe, so that we can address it.
Right, and who's usually responsible for that?
The seller.
Yeah. So so when you line that up, that's a good thing to tell your seller, right? So in this deal on Michelle and I represented the seller, and he didn't feel the need to get that done until before closing. So here we've done the inspection, and we've already worked out all the kinks in that mess. And then we open up the septic, and it's filled with roots. And our well failed. So if we would have known that beforehand, it could have blown up, which is fine, because then you fix all the issues and you put it back on the market, and somebody says, hey, I see that it was under market or under contract and it's back on the market. What happened? You say, well, it fell through because of the septic issue and this well issue, because those are material facts, right? And we disclose them, but we have them all fixed. We have the water samples and we have everything, the receipts and information that the septic was fixed. Does that make sense? So that's a great question, is to make sure that is all done in that inspection process ahead of time. The other thing that I would, is part of being the expert, is to be able to walk them through. So I've had septics or wells, come back negative or positive for the bacteria, and to be the expert to be able to say, hey, this has happened before. We're going to test it again. If it comes back and there's still this in there, then what you can do is shock the well. And you just hire somebody to come out. They clean out the system, and then you're going to have a clean. Does that make sense? But the idea is to have them to trust you. Because if you just come back in whenever there's issues to save the deal, there's going to be no trust. They're going to think that you're just saying one more, that this is just a Band-Aid that we're going to do to get this deal done. Does that make sense?
You lay out the possibilities in advance and say, if this happens, then we can do this, this, or this.
Right.
And then when it happens, they already have in mind, the direction they want to go.
So when do we do one? Okay, so A failed. When do we do B or C? So that's important. Now, and so that is obviously country properties with the septic and the well. The other thing that is kind of that's not really in here that I noticed is the lending, right? So we have an offer, and your lending should be back in here. But you get an offer and you get it accepted, right? You should do it before, but even if you do it after, you still need to have a proof of funds letter, something that says that these guys are approved, not a pre-approval, something that says these guys are good to go. Because as a seller, you also need the same thing, right? So nothing's worse than getting to the inspection at least, but when it gets down here, you're really in trouble representing the seller and then having them come back and say, hey, this guy, this and this and this happened. He's actually not able to get the loan. And you've pulled off your home off the market that long, and now you have to put it back on the market. And when you put a home back on the market, it's a lot harder to keep your marketing and keep it as active and keep it as hot as what it was before. Does that make sense? So there's different ways and tricks to do that, but that's a problem. So you want from a good quality lender, like what we talked about before, a letter that says these guys are good to go. Not a pre-approval, but an actual letter. Does that make sense? So that's a big one. So we've got the offer down here. Has anybody had any deals fall apart because of the pre-approval, or the people said that they were able to qualify and then not able to qualify? You guys are lucky. Nothing?
I had one, Morgan.
Did you?
Yeah, oh yeah. So initially, when she was approved for an FHA, didn't have to come up with much down money. But then the lender noticed that the house she wanted was a manufactured home. And so the lender wasn't going to let her come in without putting more down to secure the loan. She couldn't come up with that much down money, and the financing fell through.
Right. So we have to understand what loan that they're approved for too, right?
Right.
And what home we're showing. And that's a huge thing. The other thing is, I haven't had this happen in a long time because I have good lenders that communicate. However, as you'll see this, but somebody will buy a home and they'll get so dang excited that they go and they finance a bunch of new appliances, and they go and they finance a bunch of new furniture, right? So then it turns their debt to income ratio and whacks that out, and then they're not able to qualify. So they've got, kitchen table and some really awesome bedroom furniture and some sweet Whirlpool appliances, but they don't have a house now that they can put it into.
And even if they're on the bubble, even when you're active going shopping and getting their credit to see what their limits are, can push things just a hair in the wrong.
Sure. Yep. So here we are through that. All right. So through this process, we all agree that we need to communicate with our buyer or seller, correct? Who else should we communicate with?
Both agents.
Lenders, yeah.
Okay. Anybody else?
Lenders, as mentioned. Inspectors.
I would say, what about title? How's things going? How's, everything looking good on that end? Have you been able to be in touch with, so that everybody's on the same page? We too, that's where our systems come in. Now and ask Jess where it's at, but there's a checklist. I can't remember how many point checklists we've recreated our own, but there's a checklist that weekly we check in with the lender, we check in with the agent, we check in with the inspector. And you got to be careful, because if you're representing the seller, sometimes the agent gets really ticked off when you call their lender. But really, my best interest is for the seller, and I want to make sure that you're going to be able to provide, that you're going to be able to purchase this property. Does that make sense? And so I think it's smart to let that agent know that you're going to stay in contact with that lender and check in with them probably every 7 to 10 days. But to make sure you have a clear title and to check in with the other agent too. Nothing hurts to call and say, hey, what's going on? Have you heard anything? Is everything going okay with your clients? Just wanting to make sure that this deal is still going smooth. And then you can so then that there's all of this happens that we can see. Now, something to remind you is, so this is what we see from this line over. This line over here is what our client sees on our buyer or seller side. So it's important to explain to them what you're doing, right? So you need to say, hey, Mr. Seller, so we have this offer. this is what it is. It's $160,000. It's at asking price. I think that this is a pretty stinking good offer. Okay, great. So we're going to get it accepted. All right, Mr. Seller. So they're going to have an inspection. They have 5 days to get it back to us. I imagine that it's going to be first of next week because we're already into Wednesday. As soon as I find out, I'll let you know when the inspection is. So the inspection happens. All right. So it's scheduled for, they actually are able to get it done earlier. So they wanted to know if they could come Saturday morning. Is that going to be fine? Yeah, that'd be great. Okay. So they're going to do it Saturday. Typically, it's going to take about 24 hours where it's on a Saturday. I'm guessing that we're going to probably have it back later Monday, if not early Tuesday morning, right? So then you're walking through step by step. So you get the inspection items back. Hey, Mr. Seller, all that they wanted they wanted your sidewalk fixed. It looks like there's a really nasty crack there, and it it looks like some of your shingles have blown off your roof, and they'd like a roof contractor to come out, take a look at that, fix the repairs, and to show that that's been done. Okay, great. Yeah, we can handle that. So then that's when we send everything, to title and get things rolling. We send it when the inspection comes back is actually when we do it. If it's a quick close, then you'll want to do it when the inspection, as soon as you get it accepted. But if you have a 30, 45-day window, we usually just do it after so that you're not canceling with your title company on, after for inspection issues or different things that way. Does that make sense? So then we have an accepted offer. We're sending it to title. The title is going to be going in the same process. We have a pre-approval letter and we have an approval letter from the lender. And my conversation usually goes something like this. Mr. Seller, I've got this deal from ABC Financial, and I don't really know them. I'm not 100% confident in them. So there's a lot of different things that can happen in that. So one, you don't feel confident in them, and you don't know them. What's some different options or scenarios that could happen in that?
You could ask them to go through a different lender or a local lender, say it's out of state. That's one possibility.
It's tricky, because they have the right to pick who they want to go through. So it's tricky to do that.
Have the right to select a different offer if you don't like your lender.
So if it's a hot market and your home's being shown 2 or 3 times a day, I would tell that other agent, hey, I don't know ABC Financial from Nevada. We'd feel more comfortable if it was from a local lender. Have they been able to speak with any local lenders? Or then I'll call ABC in Nevada and say, hey, what's going on with your track record? Who are you? Yeah. Who are you? Who are you with? What's happening? The other thing is what if it's a dead market? So that's almost just as bad as if it's a dead market and you jump on with a bad lender that's going to drag it out for 30 days and then your home comes back on the market. I mean, that's almost just as bad if it was a hot market and you missed out on another offer, right? So it's important to know your lenders. So typically, then the great conversation is I get to say is, Mr. Seller, I've spoke with this lender. He is awesome. I actually prefer this lender, and he's an amazing guy to work with. Or I've used this lender before, and they're pretty stinking good.
Sir, can I bug you again? I'm sorry. I always do that to you.
No, you're good.
So so you said that several times now, and I would love to get to learn and know these lenders, but how do you do that? You go schmooze them and take them shooting, or you go and take them to lunch, or what do you do?
What I would do, I would interview a bunch. I would talk to some of the lead agents that you have down there in Pocatello. I talk to Jess and have her help you talk to some lead agents and find out who is who's the top lenders down there. And then when you get an offer, you can you can go and ask. You can go ask somebody, what do you think about ABC Financial? Do you like them? Do you not like them? Have you ever had them extend? Have you ever had them, drop the ball? I mean, that's a big thing. Now, there's sometimes, that another reason why it's good. So it gets even more complicated than just closing the deal, right? Because there's something else that happens as well. You're selling their house, but you're also helping these people buy another house. So what happens when the house on theirs, the buyer on their house fails? Then the house that is their dream home or that they're excited for, that's going to get laid up, right? So it's important to know the lender, and that's one of the biggest golden links in this whole chain is your lender, because it can make things go as smooth as possible, or it could blow things up and just ruin your next 30 days. And so that's something that I definitely am very cautious of. Me personally, I do tell the buying agent, hey, I really don't feel comfortable about 1, 2, 3 financial. I've had them do this and this and this before, and I just don't feel good about them. What's your track record with them? Typically, you see it over and over. Wouldn't you say, Jeff? That you see it over and over, and then sometimes, I mean, the zebra doesn't change its stripes, right?
It's true. I mean, unfortunately, things don't tend to improve short term, but over long term, the lender can get their act together, like many of us have, and it's good to keep up to speed on what the performance rates are now.
Right. So that being said, so you got a good lender that's going to be able to push it through. Another thing to be aware of is extensions. So that's why it's important to stay in contact with a lender. We closing on time? How's things looking? Do you need anything from me? Do you need anything else from, how's things going? Because what you don't want is to the Wednesday before Thanksgiving comes along and you're supposed to be closing that day and you find out that you're not able to close until that next Monday. Does that make sense?
Yeah, especially if they're expecting to move in later on that day.
Especially if they're expecting to move in and they've got movers lined up. So that's important. So lenders I think, is the biggest thing. And I mean, you guys can call me later and I can give you my opinion of what lenders I prefer to use. And one of them that's very good, I think, is Movement Mortgage. And they do a really, really, really good job. All right. So let's see. Throughout the entire contract to close process, follow up regularly with the closing title, escrow company, and the loan officer to be sure everything's progressing on schedule. Both agents should attend the closing to be a resource to their clients and be sure items, keys, security codes, openers, etc. provided access, security, and the use of the property are turned over to the buyer. It also is a chance to thank your client and ask for referrals. So there's two things in the success tip. One, so it explains to us why we should go to closing. What is some more reasons why we need to go to closing?
I mean, everyone's human. We all make mistakes, so you just want to make sure that on that closing settlement statement, everything is like on there. If there were inspection items that had to be paid by the other person, want to make sure that everything's on there correctly.
100%. Yeah, exactly. And it's nice. I mean, again, so this is red now. But again, this is, I mean, they don't know anything, right? They trust you that it's going well, and then if you don't show up and they're there, something comes up that they just have a question on, it's nice if you're there to say, hey, no, this is, you're right. I can see why you think this, but this is, how they figure it. And some of those things, have you guys all seen a net sheet or a HUD? It can get kind of confusing, right? With the debits and the credits and how it singles out and who's supposed to pay for what. The second thing is we're all human. Title companies seem to make mistakes. And even the best title companies do make mistakes. And so it's good to know that they didn't get that switched around. Sometimes they could be charging your client for something that they were expecting. And that's a pretty big swing. Why else should we attend closing?
I want to make sure that on that sheet your commission is reflected.
So I would do that before, because I usually think it's pretty weird when I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh crap, this is off $1,500, and I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, my commission should be $1,500 more, right? That's usually weird when you got your client sitting right there. So always try to get that just before to review it, and then you can try to combat any issues or anything that way and resolve those concerns. So then you don't have nothing, whether it's for you or your clients, at that closing table. So it's always important to review. The cool thing is the second one is, it's not on the success tip here, but to thank your client and ask for referrals. So when is the best time to ask for referrals?
They're just thrilled up to be there. They're happy that everything has been signed, and they're just woohoo.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I'm happy you're excited and happy I've done such a great job for you. Do you know anyone else that I'd be able to provide this amazing service to?
Right. What else is there?
Do you typically do that?
I do. So asking for referrals, it's uncomfortable at first, but it's the best way. So if you look at our closings, for this year, most of them came from my sphere and referrals. And so it doesn't hurt if you are a contractor. And Mike Hicks told me once, and I'm like, this is 5-6 years ago. And I'm like, Mike, I don't want to call friends and family and ask like I'm begging them for business, right? And Mike said it really, really right. He says, who would you, think of all your friends in construction? Who do you have? I said, I got a friend that's a painter. He says, great. So that friend that's a painter, is he, how successful is he on a scale of, 1 to 5? He's a 3. Okay. So he's a 3. Now, if you just, what's going to make you refer him or remember him is if he calls you from time to time, or if he does the job and says, hey, Morgan, we could use a lot more work. We're doing well, and we got, a big goal this year. Who else do you know that could use my services for painting? Are you happy with it? Or, how do you think I did? I think you did a great job. Who else do you know that, or how do you think I can get more paint jobs? That's not bad, right? So when you contact and I talked to Steven a month later, and he's like, oh, man, this house sucks. I got to repaint the whole thing. What's the first thing that comes into my mind? Oh, well, you need to call my friend Jesse. He's an amazing painter. He's done, this, this, and this, and this. Does that make sense? So that's a huge thing, is to ask for referrals.
So do you typically go back after you've sold a house and call this person months later and say, do you know anyone that needs to sell a house?
Great question. So with me, I keep in contact with them the day after I call them. How was your first night? Everything work okay? Man, you would be shocked on how many people have lost heat the first night, how many water heaters go out, how many times somebody forgot to put the gas on in their home, because they're the white, right? They don't know anything. And so they didn't put the gas on, and so then their heat goes out. And so how did things go? Oh man, we froze last night. My wife didn't call, and well, and that's where you got to pick it up after the close. So I know that this is supposed to be close the deal, and then I'm probably supposed to shut up, but you keep going after. The deal, I don't think, ever finally closes, because when you get one deal closed, every 7 years is a study that they're going to sell again. So I don't think that particular deal may close, but your relationship with them should never close. And so you follow up with them. Well, can we get some heaters in there? Can I get a guy over there to take a look at it? And that's another reason why we need to go to the closing table. Is they say, all right, just so you know, you're closing today, and blah 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 blah, and well, what happens else at closing? Everything shuts off, right? Or you can tell your seller, hey, you can shut your utilities off today because I'm calling the other agent and telling them that they need to have them switched over as soon as possible. Or flip side on the buyer, hey, so we're closing today. Right when you leave here, I know that you're busy and you're moving in, but you need somebody to, here's the numbers for the gas, the city services, and these different things, the Rocky Mountain Power that you need to call, and you need to just get these things switched over so that doesn't happen.
So from the buyer side, this is a responsibility I have. Or to tell them about utilities. What else would be on that list?
So utilities of all sorts. So again, you need to come in from the perspective that you know everything. And so you need to give them utilities. If it's not city services, if you're out in the country, then you need to give them the waste disposal, the garbage company, things like that, and say, hey, here's a list of things. Crap, even things as small as cable and satellite and internet. So around here, Idaho, Bonneville County, Jefferson County, there are some spots that it is sketchy internet services, and there's only a very few that can do these. And so if you have that idea just from selling so many homes, you say, hey, CenturyLink, is out here, or you can use this or this or this or this, and here's your options. Here's their phone numbers. So that goes back to having a systematic thing. So what Hicks has also, shared with me, that if you do something more than once, you need a system for it. And you need to be able to just, whether it's a piece of paper or whether it's an email, that you send to them, congratulations, here's a copy of your accepted offer, and you just have a system that you do and a checklist that you do off of everything. And so one of them may be to hand them a utilities sheet so they're familiar with it, because it does happen. It happens a ton that you're gonna sell a home, somebody's gonna forget. One is the day that seems like everything closes. What day of the week? Friday. What happens if utilities shut off on Friday?
You freeze.
Till?
Monday.
Yeah. And that's a hellacious 3 days. Now, what was an exciting process and what was a happy process, just because one small piece of information didn't get relayed to them. And that's something that is easy to be prevented.
So on your systems, producing systems, how many years would you say it took you to feel like things ran fairly smooth? Because I am just like, my brain is just everywhere. And I know it's a matter of creating systems. I don't know if I should plan on in a year it's going to be a little better or 5.
It's organized chaos, like from now until you decide you want to do something different. You just do the best you can, and it gets a little bit easier, and you get more of a natural feel for it, and you'll find that things always come up, but then they are usually, when you have systems, there's small fires and not huge fires that come up, and then you're able to put those out pretty quick. The one thing that I don't know if anybody, did you have anything? Oh, Oh, you're good. So I don't know if anybody else has ever had an issue coming up with systems. Elias, what have you done to create systems?
You know, I think it's an ever-evolving process. You get some system hammered out, you see growth, and, you know, and you have to adjust. So I think that listen to Morgan is one of the agents that I want to be like Morgan. But yeah, I mean, it's
I paid him in jest to come in and say that. The one thing that I've done that helps, and if you're new at this, this is gonna be really, really awesome. So you have start and you have finish. So all I would do is on a piece of paper or whatever is have your timeline, and you know what's going to happen. So then you just put a system in here. And so then you got one system, right? You've got one thing, one task that you're going to do. So then in between the start and say that this is inspection. So lender letter. So you have one more. And if you just can keep filling in these blanks with different systems, it's the easiest way for you to keep track and to come up with a checklist. Because sometimes people are like, man, how do I even start? And so if you just can do that, you can turn it so it's probably the right way, and you can just keep writing down and you know have your finish at the end. That's the easiest that I've ever found to have a system. And then when something happens, right, that blows up, because it's you only know as much as you know. And that's what's awesome about real estate is you're always learning and you're always growing. So when something happens, you're like, well, damn, that better never happen again. So then you go back and you write a line and you say, make sure to tell them about city services. Make sure to tell them to, you know, that. So that brings me up to one is something else that will change your systems, like Elias said, is renters. So if you have a listing that's occupied, you're going to have one set of systems. You know, if you have a listing that is vacant and it's Idaho, so it gets cold, you're going to have another system that you're going to throw in there to say, hey, I know that it's vacant. I just want you to know that it's getting cold up here. And, you know, do you have somebody checking on your property regularly? And do you have, you know, heat on? I mean, that's a system. And then if you have a renter, it's the same thing. So we've had rentals where somebody leaves and then it's cold and they turn it on vacation. They turn the heat on vacation, or they turn the hot water heater on vacation and forget that helps do the heat as well. And we've had, you know, a fourplex freeze up because of things like that. Elias.
on Keller Williams, their like interview that they give you, you can actually set up a bunch of tasks and stuff to do that are triggered by previous tasks. So when you input people in that system, you can just move them over to that specific campaign, like the very end of the transaction, and it'll actually remind you via email and tasks.
So do you use that yourself? Like how tricky is this stuff?
It's not very tricky. So I don't want to call us dumb, but we spent hours setting it all up and on our system. And once it finally flowed, we bought another technology to do the same thing. So if you're not ready to spend, you know, $300-400 a month for this technology, the stuff being Keller Williams, I mean, those checklists and stuff, it's all there and it's free. It does take a little bit of time to set it up, but after that, all you gotta do is input the client's name, turn it on to that specific action plan, and it'll start.
And your admin or transaction coordinators, when you start making those hires, it's easy. It's impossible without reminders for somebody to keep track of everything. Another thing that we do, and you guys are all welcome to come and tour through our office, is we have a big whiteboard of a checklist of the major things. You know, has the inspection been done? When is the inspection date? Has this been done? Who's the lender? Who's the, you know, and we have all of that on a big board so that when Ashley leaves, I can walk down and I can see, you know, who's closing it, who to call, who to check with. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions on that? So a CRM, is that typically what does the systems? So the CRM is important, and that's what's awesome about Keller Williams, that no other real estate company will give you is a CRM. It's a and that's something that you guys need to ask Jess to help run you through. So it's like what she was talking about today, this morning with your listings and your stuff like that, because your contacts is already going to be in your e-edge, right? And so like what Elias is saying is with the e-edge, there's going to be a what's it called in e-edge? It's a
My contacts or something like that. And my marketing.
yeah. And then you can start a campaign is what it's called. Does that make sense? It's like a drip one, but it's going to just pertain to their.
It's going to be more informational.
It's a what? Action plan. It's similar to a drip, but instead of showing them homes and what's on the market and staying in front of them, it's going to be everything about what's going on with the property and things like that. The other thing that's that you need a checklist and a system for. So we talked about sellers, occupied, vacant, and renters, but then your buyers, right? It's going to be a little bit different. And you want to make sure that, things like that, it's like what Steven says, you're looking at it from a different angle. And so your checklist will naturally just be a little bit different. What's another good thing? I mean, we're getting close to wrapping up. What is a few more things that a person, for a system would want in your systems? What's some ideas?
An agent?
Yeah, what would an agent want in some systems?
Coordinating everything. It's just
Know when everything's due so that you can have reminders before it's due instead of waking up that morning going, oh crap, I was supposed to have this, and this. Having reminders built into your system is important.
So is anybody in this class just as an admin? Transaction coordinator?
I'm Jeff's EA/agent.
Awesome. Okay, so that being said, Shauna Anderson taught me something that's really awesome. This is, I shouldn't call it a game, but if your client calls you and asks you for something, you lose, right? Or it's a negative point. They should be fully informed on everything that's going on, that they should never have to call you. It should always be detailed. They should always know what this next step is. And so then that's what, on our timeline, going back to that is kind of like what I mentioned. Hey, we have an accepted offer. Congratulations. They signed our counter. The next step is they're going to be doing a inspection within the next 5 to 10 days, whatever it says on there.
so what I'm hearing you say is be offensive, not defensive.
Absolutely.
And I am 100% defensive right now. I'm like,
You got to go proactive instead of reactive, right? It's the same thing. But if you're always telling them what the next step will be and give them the time frame, you're going to be just fine. You always tell them what the next step is. And then you can also send them a summary of an email and saying, all right, the inspector's closed or scheduled. This is what, when it's going to be. This is, what to expect. The inspection's going to go in there, and sometimes, our buyer's agents, the people will call us and they'll be like, man, the inspector was in there for like 2 hours. Like, well, yeah, 2 to 3 hours. That's how long it takes. And so if you let them be aware of these small details that they're going to want to know. Anything else? Anybody? So both agents should attend the closing, be a resource to their clients. So we talked about that. So it doesn't show. I'm not 100% sure why, but it shows on mine a checklist. And hopefully it maybe comes up here. So it's things like submit contract and earnest money to the title escrow company. You know, it sounds like something that would be common sense, but you get 3 things going and it doesn't go, or you expect that the other agent's going to be doing that and they don't, right? And so then title's like, hey, what's going on with this file we just got? And if you have any issues, you want to know what's going on sooner than later. Deliver earnest money to the listing agent, or get them a copy. Schedule structural or termite inspections. Is the ideas, let's see, negotiate for repairs, schedule a survey if necessary, do the final walkthrough. So that's a big thing, and that gets missed a lot, right? So their closing is on Tuesday, and you need to schedule a final walkthrough, and that's a checklist. All right. Well, we're rounding the corner. I know that you know that closing is on Tuesday. When would be a good time that you'd like to do a final walkthrough, just to make sure that the house is the exact same as what you thought it would be. Has anybody had any crazy stories about final walkthroughs?
My mom and dad, when they bought their home, I never went to disclose it. Well, on our walkthroughs, but they walked through the house and then they closed 2 days later, whatever it was. Between the walkthrough and then they had taken the air conditioner, taken a bunch of stuff out of the house, and then replaced it with inferior items. And they still had the stuff in there, but that would kind of hurt my dad. So from that experience, I've always scheduled when I bought and sold my homes, I've always scheduled that the day of closing.
Right before, or right, you can do it right after and just say, hey, don't fund and record anything until we go walk through it.
On the buyer side, what I've heard some people doing is actually taking a picture of the back plate so you can, in the offer or wherever you're going to document model number and serial number. That way there isn't an opportunity to switch.
And that's if you just wanted, one thing to stay. But the only issue with that is to go, to do a dishwasher, a stove oven, and a fridge, and a fireplace, a gas stove or a pellet stove.
I can see how that would be a challenge.
And it's up to a listing agent and us as we're listing properties is explain to people, hey, if it's a fixed or if it's included, this is what they want. If you want it changed, you need to change it before somebody makes an offer or walks through, or
be clear that that's going to happen.
Be clear that that's going to happen. Hey, this is, and I don't know what's happened this year, but I don't know if last year was the deal of giving away, special refrigerators, but all of our clients love their refrigerators this year. And they do not want to give them away. They don't want to sell them. They want that fridge. I don't know what has happened, but they'll say, we'll include a fridge. It won't be that fridge, but it's going to be this fridge. And then that's for sure you need an item number, or you need, I usually would just go through with an allowance on that time. But you'll see really weird things like that happen. So, so there's confirm that loan will fund on time for closing. Have client review closing disclosure for accuracy. So there's nothing wrong with when you get it and you go through it and it looks fine before closing to send it to them. In fact, I highly encourage that, because then you don't have the engineer site worker that wants to sit and read 59 pages of closing documents while you're sitting there and then asking questions on every paragraph. But if you can send that to them beforehand and say, hey, read these up. I know that this would be information that you'd enjoy. When you sit down at the closing table, it's just going to be initials, and they'll be like, well, so this is, and you'll be like, yep. And he'll just go through it because he's seen it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that.
If there's discrepancies, then I would have him fix that. Let's see. So where are we at now? So be a problem solver. So how do we leave a good impression? Anybody?
That's communication. Even the more you communicate with your client and make sure that you're on the same page, the less confusion there's and less problems.
Right.
Follow through and do what you say. Do what you say you're going to do. Would probably be a good one. Sorry, I couldn't hear if that's what the other person had said.
No, you're good.
I think accountable as well, and a good way to hold yourself accountable. On page 26, there's a customer satisfaction survey. If you know you're going to put that in front of those people and say, hey, grade me, how'd I do? Then you're more likely to be firing on all cylinders with each of those items.
Right. Okay. Anybody else? So let's talk about issues. So, right. So we've got inspections and repairs. Let's say that there is mold up in the attic. What's the best way to present something like that? So an inspection comes back. Let's say we're representing the buyers. So you guys were the sellers, right?
No, we're the buyers.
You're the buyers. So what's the best way that you think is?
Well, luckily we got the inspection done pretty quick to the offer, so we still had a couple days. So the buyers were worried about if there was structural roof damage. So we had a roof inspector go out that they paid for, and then we had a mold inspector go out too, so we could evaluate if we even still wanted the house.
Right.
You kind of need to know more than just
You assess it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we did all of that, and then we presented the RE10. We just let them know we want the mold remedied by a contractor of the buyer's choice. Here's his invoice. Here's how much he'd already bid us because he'd been out there and looked at it. And then the roof inspector gave us the cause, and so we wanted the cause of the mold fixed too. And that was, they were upset there was mold in the attic, but at that point they had to disclose it anyways, so it was either continue and fix it, or you're gonna have to fix it and then relist your house.
Sure.
So ended up working good.
It sucks, right?
Yeah.
And that's the awesome thing about real estate is you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable to present things to people. And sometimes that's an uncomfortable thing saying, on the selling side of it, saying, hey, we got an offer, or we got our inspection report back. There's mold up there. We're probably going to have to redo maybe some insulation, or we're going to have to fix it. So we have surprise findings. What's the best way to handle it during an inspection? Just anything surprised.
Just being upfront about it, educate your client, give them options, and just say which one of A, B, and C would you like to pursue.
Okay. What is a good way on the selling side to avoid that sort of thing?
Maybe a pre-inspection.
Right. So have you guys ever heard about doing something like that as a seller? Sounds kind of crazy, right? So if you can get a good home inspector to come and do an inspection, I let my sellers know and say, hey, we should do an inspection on your home for two things. One is because the buyer is going to do an inspection anyways, and they're going to find different things. Two is the other reason why we need to do an inspection on your home is if there is something major like roots in a septic, it'd be good to know now instead of the day of closing, right? So that's important. That's an important thing to do. What is maybe a reason why somebody, like, what's some resistance that you'd get from a seller by that?
Cost too much.
Right. Cost too much.
I
Right.
don't think that anything is.
Right. But the good thing about the cost is there's a good chance that you can sell that to the buyer, or you can market it and say, hey, this home has already had a home inspection by such and such home inspector, and that's a really good thing. So how more things go wrong is, let's see, report is complex or confusing, an inspection report. What is, and so this is a solution that says, and I'm going to disagree with this, and I think most people will, is to attend the inspection with your client and other party. Me personally, I wouldn't do that. It's more liability for you to be there, to, to have them go through everything with you versus getting the inspection report, going through. Your client should definitely meet with the inspector after the inspection and walk through the home with them. But you as an agent, I don't think it's necessary to go through. Does that make sense? So the inspector is going to go through and ask or tell your client everything. And then if there's things that come up, then they're going to come back with you. Now, a great home inspector is going to say, there's this, and this, and this wrong with the property. The good news is this is, it's not that big of a deal, or this or that, or, I would be concerned over this issue or that issue. So more things is cost and who pays. It talks about solutions of pre-negotiate limits on the inspection-related costs, timeable repairs. So when you send something, you also have to understand that person has to get it done before closing. So to get a full new deck put on a house probably isn't going to happen. For different things like that, you've got to understand that. Says doubt about worthiness. Prepare and reassure your client about how things will happen, and then document the work in invoices. And then on appraisals, how things go wrong. What's some things that happen with appraisals?
It doesn't appraise at the agreed upon price.
Sure. Then what do you say? What do you do?
Well, that's a conversation you have with your sellers. I guess, especially if they are wanting to price way out of market value, you want to prepare them and say, you're right. If we do get an offer that's to your liking that you accept, there is still a chance that the appraisal may not come back to support that price, and the option may be to either walk away from the deal if the buyer won't pay more, or you having to come down to the appraised price if you really need that buyer to be able to get the money to borrow.
Sure. So the loan won't, so it won't support the loan. You can provide that appraiser with research. Some appraisers are brutal, and they come in low, and so you have to be prepared for that. And when you market the home on the selling side, you better have some comps that are going to show that home is worth that. On the buying side, you should know the market well enough to know that the home that you're selling to your clients is worth it. because that's pretty embarrassing too when you have to go back and say, this came back $25,000 below, you're asking. So if it doesn't match, you can always appeal the appraisal, and you can get more. Opinions on that from other appraisers. So let's say that a home comes in, and you make an offer, and so it goes through your checklist of your application days. But let's say that the buyer, you make an offer on a house, and you know that the buyer has a few things that they have to do to get approved. Have you guys ever had that? Or a buyer maybe needs to just pay off this debt, or do a little bit of something before it closes? Phil, are you in the shower? I'm just kidding. Just making sure nobody's asleep. So the best is you should disclose that to the other agent. You should disclose a lot of that, because nothing ticks me off more than when you get a call, you pull it off the market for 2 weeks, and you get a call saying that they can't get approved because this and this happened. And you're like, well, what happened? I thought that they were good to go. Well, they were, but there was this one thing that we had to get done. Now, that's not very honest, and it affects not only me, but it affects my client, of then who I've got to go back to. And your client expects you to take out all of these blocks, and they're supposed to be able to just walk, and not see it, not feel it. Does that make sense? They expect you to take out those roadblocks. So you get an offer, and you're a seller, and it's contingent upon the buyer's home selling. That's pretty standard, right? Not everybody is not living in a house to buy another house. So what do you do on that? Like, how do you present that offer? How do you get around it? Anyway?
Just see how close they are to closing on their other house. I would talk to the lender and make sure it's really happening. And then, if you're positive, then I don't know. It's kind of
right.
Scary.
So that's a huge, it happens more times than not, because people are moving from one home, they sell it, and they're buying another home. So I agree with what you said 100%. I call that agent, or I look at the house to see what it is, and then I'll say, who's the agent that's representing the buyer on your house? And then they'll say it's Chad Murdoch. So then I call Chad, and I say, or Ashley, and I say, hey, what's going on? How solid is this deal? Do you have any issues? Why? Because those people are buying these people's houses, and the sellers are now buying mine, and I don't want a domino effect to start happening.
If something falls through upstream, and you don't want to end up with a cloudy situation trickling down to you, that's going to throw the deal that you're working on 3 or 4 levels down.
Right.
It's an exaggeration, but
so you can fix that pretty quick, and a lot of times, man, they're like, man, it's a slam dunk. They're pre-approved, the inspection's done, everything's going, they're going to be closed. Okay, they're solid, right? Pretty much have cash in hand. The other thing is sometimes they're like, ugh, well, I thought they were good, and then the knucklehead decided to switch jobs on me. So then you're like, well, I'm not going to disclose anything to this person, but it's good to know for us. It's a gamble, right? And you need to let your sellers know whatever risk they're about ready to take on putting their property into contract with that other person. So I think we got a lot of stuff. we're cruising. I hope that it all makes sense. So tell the participants that dotloop is a transaction system that allows the paperwork associated with the multi-party real estate transaction to be completed through an online network. That's great that it doesn't get lost. And when we do audits and things like that, it's nice that you're not thumbing through files and things like that, like what we had to do. So important dates. So what is some ways that we can walk through some buyers and sellers of closing? So important dates that they need to know. What's ways to be able to tell them? That these are important dates that you need to remember in your. Okay.
Do you have like a little packet that you give people when they purchase a home? You say, okay, instead of having to tell them everything, do you have a little packet?
We have an email system that we just send them an email that goes through. And so this is, we actually put that in there and say, hey, these are important dates to remember. Please remember these dates. You're going to have an appraisal that's going to, this is the system. This is how it happens. This is the timeline. And your inspection is going to be here. Your appraisal is going to happen here. And, and then as soon as we know the appraisal date, then we'll schedule that with them and let them know. But please remember the closing date, right? And you'd be shocked how many people forget their actually friggin' closing date. And they're like, oh wow, yeah, that sounded familiar. We're going on a wedding. We're not going to be there.
I'm always coming home too because yours just sold and we just closed on that. So,
right.
Not working.
Yeah, and that happens. It happens a lot. And so then you're like, well, you got to move out before. Well, I can't move out before because we're going to be gone that whole week. And you're like, well, I'll ask the buyers, but they've just sold their home, and that's when it closes. So then what are we going to do, right? So that's an important date to go over if they want to sell their home on that date. Let's see. Make sure that they always have a copy of the contract. So if they sign something, always send it back. Always send it back, and then always let them know that you have a copy of everything that you can immediately email to them if they need it. Does that make sense? And as well as the inspection report. So as a buyer side, you have an inspection report done for your buyer on a listing. When you have all of these things that need to be fixed and you put it on the inspection contingency and you send it, something we do is we send parts of the inspection to verify it. Does that make sense? To let them know, Mike with Inspect It First says that this is important. And so then we send that over to them. Does that make sense? What we don't do is send them the full inspection report that we just spent $400 for that they're going to be able to use at some other time. That's property of your buyers, and you need to ask them, can I send the full report, or you want me to just send the individual, or does that make sense? Sometimes that's leverage that you just took away from them. Let's see. Many things happening during closing. Here's an overview of important dates to remember. The effective date of the contract. That's important because 5 days after acceptance and different things that way, they need to know when. They'll say, man, I thought that was, we got the offer 2 weeks ago. Well, you guys countered back and forth about 9 times. And so that starts when you come into an agreement. Does that make sense? The inspection response. It is important to have your clients know, it's important for them to know what's going on and that they have to be able to respond back. They have to be ready to make decisions. Not that they're going to be rushed, but time is of the essence. And so if somebody waits to order an inspection and then that period goes up, what you've agreed to is to accept to buy that house at that price. Does that, you know what I mean? Without an inspection, if you miss your inspection contingency window. And so if you are starting to miss that, say they're out of town or an inspector is this or that, extend it. Right? Do an addendum to extend the inspection date. Does that make sense? Because if you don't, and you're like, well, they were trying to, but that didn't happen, that's not the seller's part. That's the buyer's fault. Let's see. So then the last part is the fun part. So it's seize the golden opportunity. How do you leave a good impression on the transaction? What's some ways that you can leave a good impression with your clients?
Make sure all the paperwork's in order, so when they sit down, and they're gonna wanna reread it, they're gonna wanna look through it if they have questions. Make sure they have copies of everything, and make sure they have a checklist of, oh, this is where my kids can now go to school, there's their phone number, there's utilities. Oh gee, where's the bus stop? How do I find out about the bus stop for little Johnny? All those little things that if we can come together so that at closing, there's your information sheet, it's got all these things that you need. Here's your keys, your extra keys for storage, all these other things. Just be prepared.
Right.
Because they're going to be half zombie by the time you get done closing. I know I was. By the time I got done closing, I was just doing this on my site. My brain was turned off. So.
Sure. What else? Anything else? I think just be 100% proactive and give them as much information as you can without driving them nuts and confusing the hell out of them. I mean, there's definitely a fine line between what they need to know and then trying to teach them so that they can become a real estate expert. You're not trying to recruit them for your job. And also know who your audience is too. Sometimes it's going to be people who really don't care. What's that saying? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's kind of the same thing. If you just show them that you care and you're doing the best that you can, typically that they understand that things come up if you stand in front. Agents have two agendas: to move the current transaction toward a successful closing and to ensure that referrals, most agents don't get that. Most agents don't ask for referrals. And you become that person, at Dillard's that just helped them check out and bought a new suit or a new pair of shoes, and they'll never talk to you again. If you can make that lasting impression with them and say, hey, what's a big thing that we do is say, and how did you feel your transaction went? Is there anything that you feel that I can do better? We're always looking to improve. And that will mean a lot to them. It really, really does. And then take the feedback and don't try to pick it apart. Just say, okay, thank you. I can appreciate that, and we'll definitely work on that. Second is, if you give everything you have and just say, hey, I hope that, Stephen, I hope that you were happy working with me as much as I am with you. And I'd like to work with more people just like you. So do you have any friends or family or people from church or work that are looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate that I could call today?
None come to mind, but I'll certainly keep you in mind and pass your information along to anyone I come across.
Perfect. Well, and Stephen, I hope it's okay, but again, I really enjoyed working with you, and I'm going to keep in touch with you. And so from time to time, I'm going to probably call and just, my business really relies on people like you to give me referrals and you know, your trusted friends and family. So if they trust you as much as I do, I know that, you know, I'll get a good report from you. Is that fair enough?
Yeah.
Perfect. Well, and then kind of leave it at that. But the biggest thing is to make sure that you did a good job for them. And if there's something that they're not happy with, do your best to you know, to make them happy. The second is closing gifts. What are some good closing gifts?
Gift cards for delivered food, pizza.
Mhm.
Just simply, especially if it's a young family,
Mhm.
who's going to have time to cook a meal when $10,000 and, you know, you get kids and boxes and dogs and you're just trying to figure out 3 of them out.
Or if they're buying a home, maybe you go throw some Papa Murphy's in their fridge or you know, some different things that way. But a big thing is to personalize it as well. Is if you're walking through the house and they're like, man, I really like this, but I think that dining room chandelier is ugly. The best is maybe give them a gift card, you know, to Home Depot or something like that they can go put towards that. Or another one is they hated the knobs on the kitchen. And so maybe help them out. Maybe, you know, buy them some knobs. Things like that will make a lasting impression with your clients.
Yeah, give them those kitchen knobs with your company logo right there on the front.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is so true. So NAR reports that 88% of clients say that they would use their real estate agent again, but only 12% do. Do not be that 76 that loses touch with their past clients. So following up with them a day after, a week after, a month after, and then just, you know, I'd say 2 months, every other month, just call. Hey, how's it going? Doesn't have to be real estate related. In fact, there's a system that we're doing. This is going to be maybe kind of off record, off of what KW would say, is we'll ask for a referral and call and just check in. We'll ask for a referral and then call and check in. Does that make sense?
Right.
So that I'm not Morgan Peterson only calling you because I want a favor.
It maintains and promotes a personal touch while still walking the line, personal and professional.
Yeah. And I want them to know that we're friends. Hey, just checking in on you. How's things going? Hey, checking in on you. Give yourself excuses. So that's awesome about Keller Williams is we have more damn events here than, you know, a Canada calendar. So, I mean, you got Halloween, you've got more parties, you've got more fundraisers, you've got so many things that you can call and say, hey, we have a huge Halloween trick-or-treat thing here. Would you be happy to bring your kids in? And we'd love to see you. We'd love to catch up. You know, it's this time.
That actually works too. I didn't have any clients, but I was with people who did, and it was like half of the town came to see their real estate agent.
Sure. So, and then you just call and say, hey, Tammy, just want to check in. You said that you're going to be putting a fence in. Just wondering if you started on that. No, I haven't. We thought we would, but we didn't get any good bids that we liked. Oh, great. Well, would you like some recommendations for that? You can still become that person who knows people, right? And so that's a huge thing. Let's see what else we got. Write thank you cards. So a little trick is that a lot of times folks, they close and they're at an all-time high, or they're pretty pissed, right? There can be both. It's usually not in the middle. They're either happy or pissed. And if you get something, and I compare this to my kids, if my kid is absolutely upset, it's the wrong time to give him something, right? If he's really happy, like Christmas, and he's unwrapped 5 presents, the 6th one is just the 6th one, right? So he's already focused on everything that's got him happiness. So my opinion is send him tokens of appreciation, write a handwritten thank you card, and mail it out probably the day or day after. So then it hits them a couple of days. Hey, sorry, I know that we had a few kinks in this. Thank you for sticking with us. We really do appreciate your business. Or, yeah, hey, this was fantastic. This was such a fun transaction. I really enjoyed working with you. If there's anything I can help you in the future, please let me know. And then they open that up and they're like, oh, wow, that's nice. If you give it to them right then, they're like, oh, yeah. And then they toss it.
It's the last one ever.
True. So putting it all together. So we're going to have an action plan. Do your so this is all of Jess's stuff that she's going to have you do, but come put together a system, and just start with one thing and then just fill in the blanks. Does anybody have any ahas or anything that they learned that would be useful for them? Anybody?
I like what you just said, where you send a thank you card or send a gift. Do it a couple days later. Don't do it right then, so it doesn't get lost in the night.
Right. Right. Anybody else?
I like the dinner. I did the pizza. Being able to eat while they're moving or
right.
whatever the case may be. So
a couple sodas and instructions to open the fridge and there's dinner. And
I had a client that they were going to paint, and I love to paint. I know it's weird, but I do. And I told her I wasn't able to go help her paint, but I was going to clear my schedule and go help because I would have the painting party. And I thought, well, that would be a cool way to stick in her head.
For sure.
That I couldn't paint it. And I was going to do it, but I couldn't. So unfortunately, that didn't work out. But I really liked the pizza meal thing.
Right.
I like your simplification statement, structure, and safety is what we're looking for on inspections. That helps to cut through the fuzz and fog and really get down to what the important issues are, if there are any, that you take care of.
Right. And that's it. Huge. It's huge. It takes out a lot. And a lot when you get those, and there's 100 different things on that inspection list, people are going to freak out. Oh my gosh, there's this much wrong with that house. And you can say, yeah, but 98 of them aren't important. So, well, I think that's it. I think that is it. Close the deal. Best of luck. If you guys need anything, let me know. Love to help you out. You're welcome. Try to get you out a little bit early.
No, I was going to class.
It was more of a golf clap. Don't want to disrupt anybody. Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna get my computer up and running.
She's ready.
Still working on it.
We'll see you sometime, I'm not sure.
I thought you were July. I will be going to Pocatello today. I realized I wasn't ready. How did everything go? What? I bet you did great. Did you hit end meeting up there?
End meeting.
He's about to.
You didn't tell me that.
I did. Remember I said I when you were done.
Rachel's still on.
Hit end meeting.
Okay.
Hey, Jessica, you passed.
End meeting. Oh,
I passed.
you did. I bet you